for starting your week with us. Hello and welcome to Business Daily. I'm Lee-Jiun in Seoul. Before we get started, let's get a quick check of today's highlights. The Korean government lays out new plans to help the country's recovering exports and spur domestic consumption, especially on tourism. We take you to Barcelona, where the Mobile World Congress 2017 is kicking off. Here, Korean tech giants unveiled their latest new gadgets. We have these stories and more coming right up. The Korean government has rolled out a series of measures to help spur the local economy by driving up investment in the tourism sector and ensuring that the growth momentum in exports stays alive. Our Shin Se-min starts us off.
Another fresh set of measures aimed at boosting the country's economic strength. The Korean government on Monday announced plans to help the country reach its export target of $510 billion this year. It'll also front-load more than 60% of its marketing budget for exports in the first half of the year to help continue growth seen in the recent months.
수출 플러스 기조를 정착시키기 위해서는 무엇보다 기존 주력 품목을 고부가 가치화하는 한편 새로운 시장과 품목을 확대해 나가야 할 것입니다.
The plan also includes supporting local exporters in doing business abroad this year with some $330 million and scheduling 2/3 of public export consultation events in the first part of the year. Korea's outbound shipments have rebounded since November last year and as of last month shot up at the fastest rate in nearly 5 years. For the domestic market, the government shared a list of measures to spur investment and encourage the private sector to spend more, especially on tourism. It has designated a combined 8 cities and counties, mostly on the southern coastline like the city of Yeosu, as a trial region for special support and plans to attract more travelers to grow the local economy. To do so, the government will strip back regulations and simplify administrative procedures required for establishing popular tourist attractions such as cable cars. Separately, to boost consumption in varied fields, it'll also lift regulations on microbreweries and allow them to sell their products in retail stores like supermarkets in order to encourage consumers to open up their wallets. Finance Minister Yoo Bil-ho is optimistic that these measures targeting the revitalization of local economies will bring in an expected $1.8 billion worth of investment and create 55,000 additional jobs. Shin Se-min, Business Daily.
Hyundai Heavy Industries on the 1st of April will become 6 separate companies. Shareholders on this Monday voted to separate the shipbuilding giant from its other non-marine business divisions. Shipbuilding will be combined with its offshore and industrial plant division, while others will become their own independent entities, including Hyundai Construction Equipment, Electro-Electric Systems, and Robotics. The move is expected to help improve the financial structure of the world's largest shipbuilding company, dropping its debt ratio to below 100%. Hyundai Heavy officials believe this will help boost the firm's credit rating and borrowing conditions, which would increase their chances of securing new overseas orders. Korea's stock market capitalization last year dropped 1 notch to 15th place, despite registering a growth of 4%. According to Korea Exchange, the country's market cap came in at $1.28 trillion as of the end of last year. Meanwhile, the world's stock markets saw their collective market cap jump by 4.5% to $70.1 trillion. The market that saw the biggest improvement was Brazil's, which expanded by 58%. The New York Stock Exchange, driven up by the so-called Trump bump, saw its market capitalization surge by 10%, while China's Shanghai Stock Exchange dropped by nearly 10% in the same period. Foreign Foreign investors' investment position still seems to be a dominant factor in the Korean equity market. The market failed to rebound as foreigners continue to sell shares. We're now joined by our markets contributor Choi Jin-seok to talk about overall stock market performance and upcoming market events. Hello, Jin-seok.
Thanks for having me.
All right, so how did the Korean stock market close on the first day of the week?
Not by a large margin, but both the Kospi and the Kosdaq market closed with a sluggish picture. The Kospi fell by 0.41% to close at 2085.52, while the Kosdaq followed with a 0.43% downtick to close at 612. As we just said, foreign investors unloaded massive amounts of shares for 2 consecutive sessions, dragging down the Kospi market. Although institutional investors bought almost the same amount, the market couldn't recover 2,100. The move by foreign investors is largely interpreted as profit-taking since they focused on selling shares in the sectors that have been flying high recently. By sector, financials and technology suffered the most, while utilities, constructions, steel, pharmaceuticals, and machinery performed relatively strongly. The Kosdaq market opened the session with a slight uptick, but it soon gave up early gains as institutional investors unloaded shares.
Then what are some of the market events lined up for this week? I mean, are there any factors that could revive the market sentiment?
Investors still seem to be somewhat cautious just ahead of a holiday on Wednesday. In general, holiday-shortened weeks tend to have sluggish trading volumes. For this week, economic indicators are expected to be key to give a boost to the market. Most importantly, Korea's February export numbers are expected to determine short-term market directions. Experts expect the export results reported on March 1st will show a lot of improvements compared to a month earlier. Experts surveyed by Bloomberg expect a 12.9% increase, which would mark 4 consecutive gains. If the figures meet expectations, the overall sentiment in the Korean equity market can be boosted as well. Other data from the U.S., including durable goods, GDP growth figures, and the ISM manufacturing index, which are also considered key indicators to give hints on economic conditions of the world's largest economy.
Now, the Chinese government will hold annual sessions with the country's top legislative and advisory bodies this week. So what are some of the things that we can expect to be discussed there?
Right. The Chinese government will hold the so-called 2 sessions late this week. The meetings consist of the Chinese People's Political Consultative Conference, or CPPCC, and the National People's Congress, or NPC. The CPPCC will begin on March 3rd and the NPC will follow on the 5th. The sessions will be the first National Assembly following a major political meeting in October last year, and meetings this year are expected to focus on restructuring efforts on oversupply issues and state-owned enterprises. Therefore, any measures to deal with oversupply issues can affect the prices of major commodities. And moreover, the Chinese government can specify its mid to long-term infrastructure projects, including the One Belt, One Road initiative. This will strengthen the positive momentum of some cyclical sectors as well.
Now, after the release of the FOMC minutes, the foreign exchange market seems to be a little bit confused with the timing of the next interest rate hike. So are there any events related to this issue this week?
We're about 2 weeks away from the upcoming March FOMC meeting, and we're having a lot of speeches by Fed officials this week. Most importantly, Fed Chair Janet Yellen and Vice Chair Stanley Fischer will speak on March 3rd local time. In addition, many regional Fed presidents will deliver speeches throughout the week. Since the so-called blackout period, meaning Fed officials can't make any commentaries regarding future monetary policies, will begin on the 4th. This week will be the last chance to hear from the officials before the next FOMC. CME Fed Watch, a futures market betting on future rate hikes, now shows a 26% probability of a hike in March. However, if the officials give hints that the Fed can pull the trigger at the upcoming meeting, global financial markets can see fluctuations anytime.
And there's still a certain level of uncertainty surrounding the U.S. President Donald Trump, which is probably why a lot of eyes are on his first speech to Congress this week.
Exactly. President Trump will address a joint session of Congress on Tuesday local time, and he will focus on plans for overhauling the tax code and healthcare system, but won't seek any changes to Social Security or Medicare. White House officials said last Sunday. Trump is expected to emphasize two issues: simplifying the tax code and dismantling the Affordable Care Act and replacing it with something else. Many investors expect the Tuesday speech to set the tone in global financial markets going forward. If Trump can provide details on his market-friendly policy to lower taxes, the markets can be provided with another boost. The Dow Jones Industrial Average, for example, has skyrocketed by 14% after he was elected. However, a lack of policy details can cause the opposite reaction. Therefore, the event is definitely something that we should take a close look at this week.
All right, we'll keep our eyes on that. Thank you so much for coming in today.
Thank you.
This year's Mobile World Congress in Barcelona, where the world's tech giants unveiled their latest gadgets, has officially kicked off. Korean tech companies are there too, putting their best new devices forward. And our Kim Min-ji files this report from Barcelona.
Maximizing the immersion experience for the user. That's what LG Electronics is promoting with its new G6 smartphone, which was unveiled ahead of the Mobile World Congress 2017 in Barcelona.
Smartphone customers want a device that offers innovation, but also get the essential fundamentals right. There has to be a balance between core elements and new technologies.
LG says it has prioritized usability and enhancing the core functions of a smartphone, making it accessible to anyone.
The G6 focuses on the basic needs of the consumers. It's got a bigger screen, but one that still fits into your hand. In fact, the full vision display is the biggest screen offered by a phone this size on the market.
It has a display ratio of 18:9 instead of the conventional 16:9, which LG says is the optimal option for a bigger screen in a small body. The smartphone also comes with Google Assistant, which allows users to operate the phone through voice commands. The G6 also has dual cameras on its rear side, allowing pictures to be taken at a wider angle.
LG has done some great work with this phone. It's an improved product from G5. It has a stunning camera, stunning display.
But it remains to be seen whether the device will give LG's struggling mobile division a much-needed shot in the arm and make up for the G5 flop. LG is well positioned at the moment, as local rival Samsung Electronics decided to delay the unveiling of its flagship Galaxy S8. It instead took the opportunity to unveil two new tablets, the Galaxy Tab S3 and the Samsung Book. Both have upgraded specs, which include a sophisticated S Pen function, as well as a Super AMOLED display for brighter and richer colors.
The tablet of today should be versatile and a product that allows you to do whatever you want, whenever you want, wherever you want.
The S8 was put off due to the Note 7 debacle. Instead, Samsung showed off a brief teaser.
I think it will be edgeless, so it will be a screen all over with just some slightly little edges on the top and on the bottom, and that's it, and more we don't know. But Samsung has to show something really good to make up for the faults they made with the Note 7.
The much-awaited flagship smartphone will be unveiled in New York on March 29. Kim Min-ji, Business Daily, Barcelona.
The Korean market for artificial intelligence looks promising as it's projected to grow to $9.6 billion by 2025. And this is driving the country's mobile carriers into a budding field of AI assistance. Our Lee Ju-young has more.
레베카, 공기청정기 켜줄래?
공기청정기를 켰습니다.
This is Dugu, the latest achievement of Korea's leading mobile carrier SK Telecom in the field of AI. In just 4 months after its launch, more than 40,000 units of these cylindrical devices, which carry out various functions through voice recognition, have been sold.
It's convenient, like having your own personal assistant. I can also have it order pizza or chicken when I'm hungry instead of having to use my phone.
This is another AI-based device, the Giga Genie. Developed by another top mobile carrier KT, the IPTV console can control up to 11 IoT devices, including door locks, air cleansers, and gas valves.
We will continue to use both our wired and wireless networks to collaborate with various sectors, including healthcare and cars.
LG U+, the last leading telecom firm in the game, is also expected to release its AI service in the latter half of this year, although the specifics have not yet been unveiled. With the fourth industrial revolution positioned to take up increasingly important parts of people's daily lives, telecom companies are competing to get ahead of the race in the field of artificial intelligence. SK Telecom said it will invest roughly $4.3 billion over the next 3 years in AI, while establishing a separate operations headquarters for Dugu. Other firms are reshuffling their operations, with KT launching an AI tech center and LG U+ also setting up a department dedicated to AI technology and services. Lee Ju-young, Business Daily.
And that wraps it up for today, but we'll be back tomorrow with more of the day's top business stories, so don't forget to check back with us then. Thanks for watching, and goodbye.